Hey, Lambdog and everyone else, this is Barking Madly again. I just wanted to put together a little kind of summation and a little more comment on, and thank you for your comment and whatnot. First off, I just wanted to say is, I think I know what you're saying when you call me an antagonist on this thing. It might be overstating it a bit, though. Ron Paul is, barring some bizarre happening, the guy I'm going to be voting for president, regardless of what the answers that you guys come up with for these questions that I've posed. If for no other reason than simply the fact that he is, bar none, the most honest, straightforward, predictable, and straight-up guy that's running for president right now. I have some very, very, very far-left friends of mine, and even they have commented on the fact that, man, I wish I agreed with his policies because I just like the guy. I mean, that says a lot. So that was the first thing. The second thing was on when you were starting to talk about your response to getting rid of some of the departments in the federal government. Your points about, like, you want to have local decisions or strongly relevant policies that are relevant to a locality, you want those decisions to be made relatively local to that locality. And that I very much agree with. Where I was talking about is where you've got an entire infrastructure for a technology or a system. That's when I think it makes sense to have it nationalized, or not nationalized, but federal, and oversight with the federal government. For example, if you have a nuclear problem, you want the specialists, or I think it's difficult to have every state have enough nuclear specialists to be able to inspect, help out, and or deal with emergencies. For example, 3 Mile Island. The Pennsylvania, I doubt, has enough nuclear scientists to be able to handle that type of an emergency. I think it's wise to have something like that federalized, simply because of the fact that there's just not enough knowledge to be able to go around in 50 states. You could end up having a coalition of states that would, basically sharing partnerships, but at that point it becomes just have one. Have a uniform, harmonized policy, and it's done. It's expensive regardless of how you do it, and I think you actually save money by having it done at a federal level rather than having to duplicate efforts in a lot of cases. I think the same thing goes for FEMA. I know that during Katrina, it was an absolute unmitigated disaster. And the fact of the matter is they're there to mitigate disasters. I think having the federal government there to step in when you have something, especially for regional type of events, for something like a tornado touching down, FEMA, I don't think is relatively necessary, unless it's one of these massive outbreaks like they had in February of last year, or February of 2 years ago, or March of this past year. When you start having hundreds of thousands of people affected by an event, it generally will start having an effect on the ability of the emergency services to help out as well. And when you start having a massively regional event like Katrina, you need to have something that's large enough in scale and scope that you can deal with the emergencies. I think a federal agency to handle that is the right way to go. You start getting into your aspect when you're talking about the National Forest Service, where, you have some localized emergency places that can handle things on a local level, and then you start having them at the federal level, and you can have overlap. Agreed. That becomes a problem. But I think just having something in place to deal with massive issues is a good thing. There's other events that could happen. Cascadia earthquake, or Cascadia event, which could basically wipe out the coast for 400 or 500 miles on the northwest, all the way from Vancouver, British Columbia, all the way down, not quite to San Francisco, but even well into Northern California. When you start having something that is that large, I just think having a federal agency there to handle it, and like you said, there's no profit to be made with it, and it's just, I think there's economy of scale that can be done. BATF, bye-bye. I'm not a fan of them in any way, shape, or form. I think that local laws and already even existing federal laws are already handled by the FBI and other agencies, and I think they are completely and absolutely redundant and just become a power structure. I mean, with this whole, what was it, Fast Five or Fast and Furious or whatever the hell that thing is, that the BATF was running that ended up providing the Mexican cartels with guns, proves the point that I just think the federal agencies definitely need to be out of there. And my last comment is on the FDA. I've seen what happens internationally when you don't have good oversight. I think, and also the fact that drugs are going to be nationally sold and whatnot, that there needs to be a federal level of oversight on it anyways. On a lot of it, I don't know, and that's one of the points I was trying to make in my last. I don't know enough about some of the federal agencies to say, for good or for worse, what needs to be done. But at any rate, I just wanted to thank you for the time you spent, and appreciate your input, and appreciate anybody else's input, even the thumbs. So, at any rate, guys, now I'm off of the Ron Paul kick for now, and see what other muck I can rake up. Later.